All right, let's dive right in. What we're about to cover isn't some far-off prediction. Nope, this is a high-stakes game that has already started, and you need to know that the rules for survival have been completely, and I mean completely, rewritten.
I mean, this one sentence really just says it all, right? In just the last month or so, the entire landscape of business competition has been turned on its head by AI. All those old playbooks, the ones that relied on these slow, quarterly decisions, they're totally obsolete, gone. We are in a new era, and the clock is ticking faster than you can possibly imagine.
So how do we know this isn't just a bunch of hype? Well, let's look at what we're calling the 30-day shockwave. This shows just how quickly and, honestly, how violently the ground has shifted beneath some of the biggest names in the entire tech industry.
Okay, so check out this chain reaction. On February 6th, you have Goldman Sachs, a titan of finance, admitting they're using Anthropic's AI. Fast forward just a couple of weeks to February 23rd, and that very same AI company puts out a product that directly threatens the mainframe business. And boom, a tech giant like IBM gets hammered. I'm telling you, this isn't something that's going to happen. It's happening right now.
Just let that number sink in for a second. $40 billion wiped out. Poof. Gone in a single day. Why? Because a competitor, one that was barely a blip on the radar a few years ago, made one smart move. This is the raw, insane, disruptive power we're dealing with now. One single product release can threaten a business empire that took decades to build.
So what's really going on here? What is the fundamental reason for all this chaos? Well, it all comes down to this idea of a competitive moat. That protective barrier that keeps all the bad guys away from your castle. The thing is, that moat has completely changed.
So back in the day, and by back in the day I mean like last year, it was all about who had the best, most powerful AI model. That was your moat. But here's the absolute game changer. AI models are becoming commodities. Everyone is training them on the same public data from the internet. The new moat, the only one that truly matters anymore, is your proprietary data, an exclusive, unique data set that nobody else on the planet has access to.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. I mean, look, here's Larry Ellison, a legend of the tech industry, basically spelling it out for everyone. When a guy who built a multi-billion-dollar empire on the back of data tells you that exclusive data is the only real advantage left, you should probably listen.
And it's not just him. Marc Andreessen comes in and doubles down, adding a critical piece to the puzzle. The winners are going to be defined by two things: owning unique data and moving at an incredible speed. It's not enough to have one or the other. That right there, that's the new formula for success.
Okay, so let's talk about just how big this thing is. We're not talking about a small shift in the market. No, this is a full-blown trillion-dollar economic reshuffle. And the numbers coming out of places like Goldman Sachs, they're just staggering. Just take a look at these projections. They're absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about a 15% boost to US GDP over the next decade, a 1.5% annual jump in productivity, and you might think that doesn't sound like a lot, but in economics, that is a huge deal. And of course, the big one, the automation of about a quarter of all job tasks. That means massive growth for sure, but also massive, massive disruption. And to fuel all of this, get ready for it. The biggest tech companies are expected to pour over $1 trillion into AI infrastructure. $1 trillion, with a T. That's not just pocket change. That's a fundamental bet on the future. The money is flowing, and it is flowing fast. But here's the crazy part. The biggest roadblock isn't money. No way. It's actual physical power. The sheer amount of electricity needed to run all these AI data centers is projected to skyrocket, jumping by up to 175% by 2030. So suddenly, securing a spot on the electrical grid is a bigger hurdle than securing venture capital. Wild. All right, so we've laid out the problem. We've seen the scale of it all. We get the new rules. Now for the part you've been waiting for. What on earth do you do about it? Let's get right into the new playbook, specifically for two industries that are right in the middle of the storm: consulting and SaaS.
This is the question, right? The one you should be asking yourself, your boss, your team, right now. This isn't about just trying to weather the storm anymore. It's about building a whole new kind of ship. So, let's take a look at the blueprints. Okay, if you're in consulting, listen up. The playbook is aggressive, and it starts now. First, you have to audit everything you do and immediately shift new deals to outcome-based pricing. Then, it's all in on building proprietary data sets for your clients. The endgame? Become totally irreplaceable. Be the one who not only has the data, but can also execute on it.
And for you SaaS folks, it's the same story, a real race against the clock. First, you've got to figure out which of your features could be replaced by a simple AI agent. Then, start collecting all that valuable proprietary usage data. Your ultimate goal is to stop being just a tool and become the platform that helps your clients turn their own data into their winning advantage.
You know, this whole thing isn't just some high-level corporate strategy discussion. This inversion affects every single one of us right where we are in our own careers. So let's bring it right down to the personal level. How do you, as an individual, not just survive this thing, but actually come out on top? So here's your personal game plan. You need to build what's called E-shaped depth. It's about having deep knowledge in your field, but also having these horizontal skills in data and execution. You need to be the first person to raise your hand for any new project using AI or that's based on outcomes. And you need to start tracking your own value in a totally new way.
And that brings us to this new idea, something called VAI, which stands for volatility into value. Basically, think of it as your new superpower. It's a measure of how good you are at taking all this crazy chaos and uncertainty and actually turning it into something real, something valuable. This skill is what's going to make you indispensable.
All right, so what can you do, like, right now, as soon as you're done listening to this? Here you go. 4 concrete actions you can take today. Seriously, you're going to want to screenshot this slide. This is how you start building your new moat, whether it's for your company or just for your own career. Don't wait.
Because look, the writing is on the wall. The message from every corner of the tech world is crystal clear. The winners are going to be the ones who own the data and move at lightning speed. The path forward is there, but the window to actually do something about it, it is closing fast. So I have to ask, what's your move?